Hello, you're watching Vietnam News Agency's Daily Bulletin. Up next are the top stories. Vietnam and Spain signed agreement on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters. Vietnam wins bid for exporting 450,000 tons of rice to the Philippines. Garment and textile exports reached $14.9 billion in the first 8 months of 2015. Vietnam and Spain have signed an agreement on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters. The document was sealed in Madrid by Spanish Minister of Justice Rafael Catalá and President of the Supreme People's Procuracy of Vietnam, Nguyễn Hòa Bình.
Spanish Minister of Justice Rafael Catalá said the agreement is an important legal framework for the two sides to cooperate more effectively in fighting crimes, especially transnational organized ones. For his part, President of the Supreme People's Procuracy of Vietnam, Nguyễn Hòa Bình, said the treaty will have created optimum conditions for the agencies to settle foreigner-related crimes, especially transnational ones, amidst the rapid globalization and international integration. Vietnam and Spain will continue stepping up cooperation in law enforcement and personnel capacity enhancement. In 2014, the nations signed agreements on extradition and transfer of sentenced persons.
The role of youth in disseminating information about the country's sea and islands was the main topic of a seminar held at the Ho Chi Minh City-based National University on September 20th. Our reporter will bring more details.
Co-organized by the party's Central Committee's Commission for Propaganda and Education and the Ho Chi Minh Communist Union Central Committee, the event saw the attendance of a large number of students studying at universities in the city. At the seminar, leading experts in law, history, international affairs, and diplomacy provided information and answered questions raised by students about the nation's sea, islands, and territorial sovereignty. The students also spoke out their opinions and viewpoints about the role of young people in propagandizing the homeland sea and islands. Many of them suggested that the propaganda should be conducted through photo exhibition, television reports, and cultural activities instead of documents only. By doing so, could the role of the youth be upheld and their patriotism and awareness of sovereignty be widespread?
Nơi anh đến là biển xa, nơi anh tới ngoài đảo xa, từng mảnh đất quê ta giữa đại dương mang tình thương quê nhà.
Vietnam has won the bid for selling 450,000 tons of rice to the Philippines. This information was reported by local media.
According to the Manila Bulletin, the National Food Authority of the Philippines concluded the bidding for the importation of 750,000 tons of rice, including 250,000 tons of well-milled rice for this year and 500,000 tons of the same variety for 2016. The first set of rice imports of the 125,000 tons will be delivered in November, while the next 125,000 tons is due for delivery by the end of December. Next year's shipments will be brought to the country by January, February, and March. Winning the bid is expected to boost Vietnam's rice exports in the remaining months of this year. Vietnam exported over 3.8 million tons of rice, raking in $1.6 billion in the first 8 months of this year, showing considerable drops in both volume and value over the same period last year.
The General Department of Vietnam Customs reported the country's garment and textile exports climbed to $14.9 billion in the first 8 months of 2015, up 10% over the same period last year.
Vietnam's signing of the free trade agreements with the Republic of Korea and the Euro-Asian Economic Union, while hastening negotiations for the pending Trans-Pacific Partnership, enabled the Vietnamese staple to make inroads into overseas markets. Notably, exports to Vietnam's largest government market, the U.S., accounted for half of the country's total export of the product in the reviewed period. Exports to Japan and the Republic of Korea witnessed respective surges of 12% and 8%, while those to German and UK markets posted the same growth of 3%.
Dong Tao commune in the northern province of Hưng Yên is now boasting its special chicken as a local collective trademark. Our reporter will have the full story.
Distinctive for its rough, gigantic drumsticks, Dong Tao chicken features heavy figures, thick skin, and red meat. The delicacy has long been popular among gourmet groups across the country. The trademark recognition is the result of a project coordinated by Hưng Yên Department of Science and Technology and the Investive Company since May 2013. Under the project, a local association was set up to protect the rights of existing members who follow strict farming and processing criteria of the copyright product while launching market promotion. The association said the initiative has equipped its members with breeding and farming techniques, as well as facilitated local farmers to access different markets. As such, 2,000 households in the commune are raising 40,000 Dong Tao chickens that generate considerable annual revenue through trading. The Provincial Department of Science and Technology said another project on preserving and developing the species is also underway in a bid to expand its farming model in Dong Tao to other parts of the province.
The Prime Minister has approved the establishment of the Guangxi Southeast Economic Zone in the province of the same name. We'll have more in the following report.
Accordingly, the economic zone will be located on a 23,800 hectare area in the southeast of the central province of Guangxi. It will cover 17 communes and towns. The zone will hopefully tap the province's advantages and promote its socio-economic development, contributing to reducing the gap between the central region and other parts of the country. The economic complex is expected to become an international trade hub and an agroforestry fisheries production center with modern and civilized infrastructure as part of the East-West Economic Corridor.
Now we move to other stories. The Ministry of Industry and Trade is mulling over solutions to maximize the number of power plants engaging in the competitive electricity market in a bid to ensure fair competitiveness and transparent prices while raising the effectiveness of electricity projects.
According to the Ministry of Industry and Trade, just 59 power plants nationwide, equivalent to 42% of the total number, are directly involved in the competitive electricity market thus far, with a combined capacity of around 14,800 megawatts. This was attributed to inadequate legal frameworks in conjunction with poor infrastructure and an unqualified labor force in its first stage of running a competitive electricity market. We are now at the primary stage of operating a competitive electricity market where electricity resources remain insufficient as compared to the demand. According to a master plan to develop an electricity market approved by the Ministry of Industry and Trade, a competitive power generation market was formed from 2011 to 2014. Insiders said operating a competitive electricity market mainly aims at reasonable costs, where consumers benefit the most. However, with current infrastructure systems and growth momentum, Vietnam still faces difficulties in operating a competitive electricity market.
Prices are adjusted once a year, so a price list in the current situation is fixed when exchange rates are not stable.
Since 2010, Vietnam has allowed the private sector to build electricity plants under public-private partnerships. Over recent years, stakeholders have learned from other countries' experience in building a competitive electricity market in Vietnam, with a growing number of power plants engaging in the market.
A festival designed to enhance cultural exchanges between the Vietnamese and Japanese people concluded in Kanagawa Prefecture of Japan on September 20th. The two-day event attracted more than 10,000 visitors.
With 100 booths, the Vietnam Festa Kanagawa Festival is the largest ever of its kind in Japan. Kanagawa Prefecture's Governor Kuruwa Juji said the event contributed to strengthening connections between local people and Vietnamese community in the region, as well as the development of Vietnam-Japan relations. Meanwhile, Vietnamese ambassador to Japan Nguyễn Quốc Cường said the festival was a chance for Vietnamese people to better understand about Kanagawa Prefecture. It was also an opportunity for the local people to learn about Vietnamese culture. Vietnam and Japan share a lot of cultural similarities, so cultural events like this will have reinforced connections between two countries' people, thus fostering the Vietnam-Japan friendship. Kanagawa is one of the localities in Japan that draws the largest number of Vietnamese students and citizens. They have made remarkable contributions to the prefecture's socio-economic development and the success of the festival. During the course of the event, Vietnamese water puppetry and traditional long dress performances, as well as its traditional dishes, left deep impression on visitors.
Refusing to succumb to the trendy beats of the pop culture, musician Đồng Quang Vinh, leader of the Sức Sống Mới New Life Force Band, is one of the few current artists dedicated to the traditional Vietnamese music. Let's see what he has to say.
Đồng Quang Vinh was born in 1984 to a family of musicians playing traditional instruments. It was Ving's father who taught him to play the flute and the tarung from an early age, kindling his passion for the art. After 9 years of pursuing his master's degree in orchestral conducting overseas, Vinh returned to Vietnam in 2013, despite numerous international job offers. He is currently the lead conductor of the Vietnam National Opera and Ballet, as well as the director and lead conductor of the Hanoi International Choir.
I have vowed to return to Vietnam after my study and bring something new and fresh back to Vietnam's music, not just the orchestral genre, but also the traditional genre.
Our story begins 1 year after he returned to Vietnam, when Vinh reinitiated the New Life Force Band, formerly known as the Viet Bamboo. The band oriented itself as a traditional music group, only playing bamboo-made instruments. The New Life Force plays music written by Ving's father, meritorious artist Đồng Văn Minh. Branding itself as the only band in Vietnam playing homemade instruments such as the tarung, chinh ram, and klong put, the New Life Force Band has received praise from both domestic and international audiences for both its pure aesthetic and unique embedded culture.
Các nhạc cụ Việt Nam thì nó rất đa dạng. Mình có 54 dân tộc.
Vietnamese musical instruments are very diversified. We have 54 ethnic groups, and the King people alone have the flute, the two-chord fiddle, the monochord, the 16-chord zither, and many others. I think what sets us apart from the world is our bamboo instruments.
Most of the band's members are young enthusiasts who have found their own love for the traditional genre. Each understands and appreciates the beauty and respects the cultural value of the music. Though having lost the spotlight to pop culture music, the band seems to be less interested in the 15 minutes of fame market and instead have opted to share their passion with other traditionalists.
Musical instruments have been a passion of mine since I was a small child. My father also works in the industry, so I have always been headed in this direction.
hoặc là hướng cho mình đi về.
Luôn luôn biểu diễn những cái tác phẩm cổ điển nhất của âm nhạc.
Besides playing to our strengths and preserving the traditional art for the future, we also have to diversify ourselves and stay relevant by collaborating with other genres. We aim to bring something familiar to our audiences while highlighting our cultural style.
Âm nhạc sen nứa thì chúng tôi vẫn phải thúc đẩy nó bằng những cái yếu tố mới.
Đồng Quang Vinh shared with us his dream for the new Life Force Band to become a larger entity, befitting its position as the torch carrier of the Vietnamese traditional musical art.
And that's the end of our program. Thank you for joining us and see you next time.